Happy Friday, Flosstube. Hello, crafty friends. My name's Caroline. Welcome back, Daily Crafty Chat. Today is Friday, October the 8th, and today is going to be my very last video from up here on Georgian Bay, Ontario, from the cottage. We will be spending the rest of the weekend packing up, getting ready to go home, celebrating Thanksgiving dinner, and all around just settling back into our lives back in the city in London, Ontario. So probably the next video that I do will, I'm thinking just to give myself a couple extra days just to get settled and sorted and resettling my business back in London. So probably next Wednesday. Next Wednesday or Thursday is when I'll be back here on YouTube. But I will be in the Facebook group, Friday Off the Grid. I will be starting my Jeanette Douglas Stitch Along on the Facebook group. That is for the Blooming Bouquet series. There is a hashtag thanks to a stitcher, and I thanked her on the Facebook page, and her name has escaped me at the moment. However, she came up with the perfect hashtag. So a big thank you to the stitcher who did. It is hashtag off the grid JD Blooming Bouquets Sal, S-A-L. So it's a long one, but I like it, and there you go. So yeah, so the last video from the cottage for the year, but this place will be back next year. Okay, so last night my whip of the day that I worked on was my Carriage House Samplings Frederika. And I don't think I ever mentioned this back when the last time I shared this project. So here's my stitching from last night. I worked entirely along the bottom border here. I love working on borders. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I worked on the border, and I also finished the very last leaf motif in that stem there. So now I'm working on the fill-in of the hill that sits under the bird, and working on the border along the way. So I made a rather large error in my border, and so those of you who have stitched this before probably already know what I'm going to say, because this bottom border is different. It does not match the other three sides of the border. In the pattern, this border, there shouldn't be any stitching above the diamond. The actual bottom line of the top part of this border should be touching and connecting the top of these diamonds. And I was on autopilot when I started stitching this border, and I didn't notice it until I had already turned the corner and I was already here, and I'd already filled in all the diamonds, and I thought, oh, to heck with it. So I just fudged these two lines that are above the border. There should be four black, yellow, rust, yellow, rust. So I took out a line of yellow and a line of rust, and I've just done those two, and I've tucked my black border in. So my counts should still be the same. I'm not off. Everything should work. I'm just going to not have as many lines in that bottom border as the chart calls for. But I like the fact that my bottom border matches the other three sides. I'm not usually overly fussy about things matching, and you know, for example, that the Margaery Massey Quaker Street sampler. Let me show you, because I actually haven't shared that with you yet. This was my high tea start, and my chart, hang on, I'll get the chart. Okay, so that's this pattern right here. This was my high tea start for October the 1st, and you'll notice that the alphabet, it's pretty clear, the alphabet that's at the bottom is missing a few letters, and the reason for that is because all of the letters that have been used in the word Quaker have been removed from the alphabet at the bottom and put into the word Quaker at the top here. I know that Ellen, when she stitched it, she left off the bottom alphabet because, and I know Shiloh has mentioned this, X-Stitch MD has mentioned this, she likes all of the letters to be in the alphabet when she stitches an alphabet. It doesn't bother me that it's missing a few letters in the entire alphabet. I think it's charming that that's part of the design for me, but I can fully understand those stitchers that would bother and they would prefer not to do it. Let me just show you my progress first. So here was my new start on Margaery Massey Quaker Street, and oh, I love it. I love it. I'm stitching this. This was my first time stitching on a 46 count linen. It's a silk weaver in the almond colorway, and I'm using one strand of black DMC. And I had a story about my cone of 310 a few episodes back, but I love this stitch. It's so pretty. So the coverage isn't, you know, 100% perfect. So if I brought it up really super close, you might be able to tell. You can tell in real life better. But when you hold it back here, I mean, isn't that, it's so effective. It's so beautiful. Anyways, so that doesn't bother me, the fact that it isn't an entire alphabet. But the fact that this border wasn't the same on this side, and that it was noticeably different on the chart, that would have bothered me. So actually it was a happy accident for me as a stitcher that I mucked it up and had to sort of rework it. So I'm pleased with that. So I think I'm going to carry on with this tonight. It's already on my frame. I don't have to set up another project. I have some knitting out in the other room. I'm still working on my sock, my Fruity Pebbles sock. I'm also working on my European road trip shawl. So I will have updates on those when I come back and see you next week. It's always a little bittersweet, isn't it? And I know I've said this before, but these are the thoughts that are running through my mind pretty constantly. This is always the same the last weekend when we close up and I have to go home. I'm always so grateful to go back home because I love my home in the city in London. But this is such a special place. It's hard to leave. Somebody had asked about our Thanksgiving plans. Normally our Thanksgiving plans are spent here every year. This is typically the weekend when most of our neighbors, other islanders up here who we've been friends with for many, many years, normally we have a rotating Thanksgiving dinner visit. And this is traditionally the weekend when most people will close up for the winter. This year with COVID, that won't be happening. We will not be getting together. And in fact, our province is starting to see numbers on the rise again. We are now officially in our second wave of the virus. And so everyone in our province is being encouraged not to travel this weekend, to stay home and just be with their own households for the Thanksgiving weekend, which is what we're doing anyways. So it will be a very different Thanksgiving for us, because normally we take turns amongst the families and we'll have about 25 people, big turkey dinner, all of the traditional sort of Thanksgiving special food items, and the other families will bring a pie or an appetizer or something to share. So things will be very, very quiet this year, very different, but we will still celebrate together as our little family unit with my father-in-law as we ready ourselves to head home. So I've also been asked several times about my father-in-law and what he does once we head home. Does he stay here for the whole winter? No. And I know people can't watch every day, so you probably miss when I say certain things, but this is a 3-season deal here. We do not have the capability to stay here all winter. No one does that lives on this little island. Yeah, I'm sure it's possible that other families in the area have winterized their cottage. And in fact, we could, I mean, John will snowshoe out when the ice is thick and stay for the weekend. But you have to be prepared. If you wanted to stay here for the winter, you would have to be prepared to be landlocked for up to 4 months, because you can't predict what the ice is going to do. You can't predict how hard or easy the winter is going to be. So it's just not, it's not feasible. You wouldn't be able to leave because there would be ice. And without a hovercraft, which I'll tell you, my husband is saving his pennies for the eventual hopeful, fingers crossed, pie in the sky wish of purchasing a hovercraft. And who knows, maybe one day he'll get his dream. That would enable us to much more easily live here so that we could get to town if we needed food. Anyways, so my father-in-law does also leave. He has a small apartment in London, Ontario, where he lives in the months where we are not here, and he comes over most nights for dinner as well. So because he will still be part of our little circle in London, Nicholas is still going to be continuing virtual school, remote learning, even though we will be home in London. We've decided to delay his return to face-to-face school just for a little bit longer, because the main reason, one of the main reasons being that we still wish to have my father-in-law as part of our family, and well, he's not 25 years old. So that's our one of our personal things there. Anyways, so yeah, I've got Luna's life jacket ready to go. She has only been on the boat on the way up. However, I don't foresee any problems because she did really well on the trip here, so I don't foresee it being a problem on the way home. We're keeping a close eye on the forecast, the waves, the wind, the weather, but it should be okay. If it's a little bit wavy and windy, I will simply go over in my father-in-law's boat, which is enclosed and tends to make me feel a little more secure on the way over. So I'm sure all will be well, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much for coming along with me on this journey, for keeping me company, for leaving me so many wonderful comments, and just being a big part of my life this summer, as in so many other summers that I've been up here. I started recording video up here, and it is entirely the reason for the name of my channel. So thank you. Thank you so much. And I will see you next week. I'll see you on the other side, back home in London, Ontario. Take care. Have a great weekend. Don't forget to, if you're joining in with the Jeanette Douglas Blooming Bouquets Stitch Along, hop on over to the Facebook group Friday Off the Grid so that we can celebrate each other's new start and progress pictures along the way. And Friday Off the Grid, I will see you guys tonight for our Friday night usual 6-hour stitching party in our party pants. Happy stitching, everybody. Take care. I'll see you next week.